Start a timer. 10 minutes. That was the promise. A story told in a single quick bite, sized to fit the gap between a subway platform and your desk, the length of a coffee line, the dead air of an elevator. On April 6, 2020, a new streaming service went live believing it had found the one shape of video nobody else had claimed. Not the 2-hour film, not the hour-long drama, the commute-sized chapter, premium professional Hollywood grade, cut down to 10 minutes or less and built for one screen only. The phone in your hand, held vertical. Its name was Quibi, Quick Bites. And before a single person had paid for a single minute of it, the company had already raised roughly $1.75 billion. Read that number slowly, $1.75 billion, before launch, before a paying customer, before anyone had proven that the thing Quibi was selling was a thing anyone wanted to buy. Jeffrey Katzenberg built it, the man behind some of the biggest animated films in history. Meg Whitman ran it, the executive who had scaled eBay and led Hewlett-Packard. Two of the most decorated operators in American business, backed by nearly $2 billion, aimed at the fastest-growing appetite in media: short video. 200 days later, the timer hit 0. On December 1st, 2020, roughly 6 months after it launched, Quibi announced it was shutting down. The easy verdict was written before the body was cold. Quibi died because of the pandemic, or because the shows were bad. Both are true enough to repeat and too small to explain anything. Because here's the uncomfortable part: nearly $2 billion did not save this company. Nearly $2 billion is the reason it died the specific way it did. And to see why, you have to stop watching the shutdown and start watching the money. Every company we examine here, we run through 4 forces. Market. Was there real demand, and did the product actually fit it? Money. How is the company funded, and what did that capital let it do or skip? Management. Who decided what, and did their instincts match the problem in front of them? Moment. What was happening in the world at the exact time the bet was placed? For Quibi, all 4 are in the room. The market was real. The management was famous. The moment was catastrophic. But one force did something the others only amplified. Money is decisive, not because Quibi ran out of it, because it started with too much, too early, and that fortune let it skip the one thing every product must survive to live. So we start where the demand was. Was there an appetite for short video in 2020? Enormously, overwhelmingly. The market was not the problem. The market was a tidal wave. By early 2020, people were already watching short-form video for hours a day. TikTok had exploded into a global phenomenon. YouTube was a universe of clips. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all of it fed on the same behavior. Pick up the phone, watch something short, put it down. Quibi's founders looked at that ocean of attention and concluded, correctly, that there was demand for short video on a phone. But look closer at what people were actually doing, because this is where the whole thing turns. Every ounce of that short video appetite had 4 features baked into it. It was free, it was social, made by the people you followed and shared with the people you knew. It was user-generated, or at least casual, filmed on the same phone you watched it on. And it moved freely across screens, phone to laptop to living room television, wherever you happened to be. Now line Quibi up against that behavior, feature by feature, and watch the fit come apart. Free? No. Quibi cost about $4.99 a month with ads, or $7.99 without. There was no free tier at all. To even taste it, you paid. Social? No. You could not share a clip. You could not even take a screenshot. The app blocked it. In an era where the entire engine of short video was the shared clip, the forwarded moment, the meme, Quibi built a service you could not pass to a friend. User-generated, the opposite. Quibi was premium, polished, expensive, professionally produced content, the exact category people were happy to watch on a big screen, not the casual scroll they wanted on a phone. Cross-screen? No. At launch, Quibi was mobile only. You could not cast it to your television. The one screen it refused to use was the one screen people most wanted for premium professional shows. So here's the precise diagnosis. The appetite for short video was gigantic and unmistakable, but it was an appetite for free, social, casual, cross-screen video. Quibi built paid, private, premium, mobile-only video and pointed it at that demand like a key at the wrong lock. The tidal wave was real. Quibi was surfing a different ocean and did not know it. Market verdict, holding for the end, real and misread. There was a there. Quibi just aimed at the wrong part of it, which raises the obvious question. In a normal company, someone finds out the aim is off long before launch. Small tests, cheap experiments, real users saying no. Why didn't Quibi find out? For that, follow the money. Here is the force that decides this case. So let's be exact about the mechanism, because the number itself is not the story. What the number let Quibi skip is the story. $1.75 billion raised before launch. Understand what a sum that size does to a company psychologically and structurally. It removes a constraint that is, for almost every startup, the single most valuable thing it owns. Being small, being poor. Think about how a normal product is born. You have an idea. You do not know if it is right, because nobody ever does at the start. So you build the smallest, cheapest version you can, and you put it in front of a few real people, and you watch. Do they come back? Do they pay? Do they tell a friend? You're not scaling yet. You're asking a single question: is this bet true? And because you are small and poor, reality answers you fast and cheap. A few thousand users hate the price. You learn it for almost nothing. The core assumption is wrong. You find out while the wreckage is still tiny. That phase, the small, cheap, embarrassing, learn before you scale phase, is not a weakness of the underfunded. It is the immune system of every good product. It is how a company discovers whether anyone wants the thing before it commits everything to building it. Quibi had $1.75 billion. So Quibi skipped it. Watch what the money bought instead. It did not buy a quiet test. It bought a launch at maximum scale on day one. A giant slate of shows with real budgets and real stars, dozens of them ready at once. A national marketing blitz. A Super Bowl ad, the most expensive advertising real estate in America. A full company, staffed offices, the entire apparatus of a major studio, all standing before a single customer had validated the core bet. And what was the core bet? Not just short video, specifically this: that people would pay real money for premium, professionally produced short-form shows on a phone, no television, watched during the in-between moments of a commuting, waiting, standing in line live. That is a narrow, load-bearing, entirely unproven assumption. It is the assumption on which every dollar rested. A small, poor startup would have been forced to test that assumption first because it could not afford to build anything else until it did. It would have shipped something cheap and ugly, put it in front of a few thousand commuters, and listened. And it would very likely have heard, early and cheaply, that people did not want to pay for this, that they would not give up screenshots and casting and sharing, that the commute was not the golden hour anyone imagined. Quibi could afford to skip all of that. The money let it act as if the bet were already proven. Committed the stars, the slate, the ad, the org, everything before the question was ever asked. It bought certainty it had not earned. Every warning a startup normally receives from the simple fact of being small and brokey and forced to check, Quibi muted with a checkbook. This is the mechanism, not that the money ran out, that the money at the very start purchased the right to not find out. $1.75 billion did not fund the discovery of whether the bet was true. It funded the assumption that it already was. And when the answer finally arrived, it did not arrive as a cheap lesson on a small version. There was no small version. There was only the giant one, fully built, fully committed, with nothing to do but be unwound. Money verdict, holden for the end. Decisive. The capital did not fail Quibi. It flattered it all the way to the edge. Now, the fortune alone did not choose what to build, people did. And the people at the top brought a specific set of instincts, brilliant instincts, aimed at the wrong problem. Consider Jeffrey Katzenberg. His career is a monument to a particular kind of bet. In film, you assemble a slate, you attach the biggest possible stars and directors. You spend enormous sums up front on production, you back it with a marketing campaign the size of a small war, and you open big. Get the launch right and the audience follows the names. That instinct built blockbusters. It is a genuine, hard-won mastery. But watch what happens when that instinct meets Quibi's actual problem. Quibi was not a movie. It was a product and a distribution question, and those obey different laws. A film's core risk is creative. Will the audience love the story? A product's core risk is behavioral. Will people change what they do all day to make room for this? Will they pay? Will they open the app on the platform? Will the daily habit form? You do not answer those questions by attaching stars. You answer them by shipping something small and watching real behavior. The film playbook says spin big, launch big, trust the names. The product playbook says start small, learn fast, earn the scale. Katzenberg ran a product and distribution problem on film instincts. Bet big on star content, launch on a giant slate, open with a marketing blitz, trust that the names would pull the audience through, and you can see those film-first instincts fossilized in the product's own rules, the choices that treated Quibi as content to be protected rather than a tool to be used. No casting to a television because the experience was designed and controlled for the phone. No screenshots because this was premium content to be guarded, not clips to be shared. Mobile only because that was the vision, that was the thesis, that was the thing being sold. Every one of those decisions is defensible from inside a content-first worldview. Every one of them is hostile to how a real user actually behaves. Users share. Users cast to the big screen. Users screenshot the funny frame and send it to a friend. Quibi's rules were built to serve the show. They forgot to serve the person holding the phone. None of this is stupidity. Whitman and Katzenberg were among the most capable executives of their generation. That is exactly the trap. Their competence was real, and it was aimed at the wrong target. Great film instincts on a product problem do not read as recklessness. They read as confidence. And confidence, when it is wrong, is the most expensive thing a company can buy. Management verdict, holding for the end. Skilled and mismatched. Not a failure of talent, a failure of fit. And the money removed every check that might have exposed it. Which brings us to the villain everyone already named, the pandemic. Quibi launched on April 6, 2020 into the opening weeks of the COVID-19 lockdowns, and the timing was, on its face, a catastrophe so clean it looks like fate. Remember the entire premise. Quibi was built for the in-between, the commute, the line at the coffee shop, the 5 minutes before the meeting, the platform, the waiting room, the little gaps of a life spent moving through the world, phone in hand, needing something short and premium to fill them. That was the whole use case. That was the reason for the 10-minute bite, the reason for mobile only, the reason for the vertical phone, and in April 2020, every one of those gaps vanished overnight. There were no commutes, people worked from home, there were no lines, no platforms, no waiting rooms. The in-between disappeared, and where did everyone go instead? Home, to couches, to big screens and long hours and endless time, the exact conditions Quibi had built itself to avoid. People wanted long shows on large televisions, and Quibi offered short shows on a small phone you could not even cast. The moment did not just fail to help, it inverted the product's every assumption at the worst possible instant. So yes, the moment was brutal. If you want a single villain, the pandemic volunteers. But be careful, because this is exactly where the easy story stops thinking. The pandemic is the popular scapegoat, and a scapegoat is a way of not looking harder. So look harder. What did the pandemic actually do? It did not create Quibi's flaw. It revealed it. The core bet that people would pay for premium short form on a phone during the in-between was untested and probably wrong before the first case of COVID reached the news. The lockdowns did not break a working product. They pulled the cover off a product that had never been checked, and they did it in public, in month one, at maximum scale. Here's the tell. A small, cheap version of Quibi, launched into the same pandemic, would have absorbed the blow and lived. It would have learned quickly, cost little, pivoted, cast to the TV, dropped the price, tried again. It would have bent. Quibi could not bend because it was not small. It was a fully built, fully committed, nearly $2 billion cathedral with one entrance, and the moment walked up and locked the door. The pandemic was the trigger. The untested money bet was the loaded gun. Blaming the trigger lets the gun off the hook. Moment verdict. Holding for the end. The exposure, not the cause. The match, not the fuel. So let's set the four forces side by side and rule on each. Market, real and misread. The appetite for short video was enormous, but it was an appetite for free, social, casual, cross-screen video. And Quibi built paid, private, premium, mobile-only video and aimed it at the wrong half of a real demand. Money. Decisive. $1.75 billion raised before launch let Quibi skip the small, cheap, learn-before-you-scale phase that every product must survive. It committed the stars, the slate, the Super Bowl ad, and the whole company before a single customer proved the core bet true. The money bought certainty the company had not earned. Management, skilled and mismatched. Two exceptional executives brought Hollywood film instincts, bet big, launch big, trust the stars, to a product and distribution problem that demanded the opposite. No casting, no screenshots, mobile only. Choices that served the content and ignored the human being holding the phone. Moment, the exposure, not the cause. The pandemic erased the commute and waiting life Quibi was built for at the exact instant of launch, but it revealed a broken bet. It did not create one, the trigger, not the loaded gun. Now the thesis line, the one thing to carry out of here. Quibi did not fail because of the pandemic, and it did not fail because the shows were bad. Quibi spent $1.75 billion to skip finding out whether its core bet was even true. So when reality finally arrived, there was no small version to learn from and adjust. There was only a giant one to unwind. Set the timer for 10 minutes and you get a quick bite. Set it for 200 days and nearly $2 billion, and you get a company that never once asked the question its whole future rested on. The phone was held vertical, waiting to be turned toward an audience that had already answered. Nobody turned it in time. The timer just ran to zero. The bite is finished, the timer's at zero. Another case is already loading in the queue. Another giant built certain of a thing it never tested. If you want the next case before it goes public, join the free corporate anatomy briefing. The link is in the description.